I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I want to be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Riley Miles is the Director of Development at Nudon Technologies. During his almost 9 years at Nudon, he's worked in marketing, sales, and product management. He's married to Missy, and they have 3 children. He's local, right here from in Logan, Utah. He loves motocross and water skiing. Ladies and gentlemen, Riley Miles.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Adam and I swapped microphones in the back, and I think he left a little hucka right here on the mic. Just kidding. I want to talk about something that is a motivator for me, something that's driven me in my life, and that concept is success. I don't think I'm unique to say that I'm driven by success. I think all of us, as just normal human beings, have that intrinsic value that we want to be successful in what we do. We want to try and make each day as impactful as it can be. So I want to talk about ways that we can kind of motivate ourselves, drive ourselves to do a little bit more with the time that we have, be a little bit more productive, be a little bit more successful. One of the things that I think exemplifies creating momentum in success, and something that shows this, is motocross. As Jess mentioned in the intro, I love motocross. I love dirt bikes. Frankly, anything that has an engine on it, I've always been a fan of. This is me and my son Pace out on a local track riding my dirt bike around, and the look on his face absolutely demonstrates the reason that I love motocross. I think that's about the most purest form of joy that you could see. Truth be told, if you took my helmet off right there, I'm looking forward, but I have the same look on my face, just a big, huge grin. But it's something that I've done with my family, something that I certainly enjoy doing. One of the things that motocross does is it tests a person. Right here, we're looking at Ryan Villapoto out on his practice track. And motocross gives you the unique opportunity to scare yourself in a somewhat controlled way. So you can try a new jump, you can try a new gap, you can try to go a little bit further, and you kind of evaluate how that ended up. And there's times when you have a shaky landing or a shaky takeoff, or you get sideways in the air and you have to recorrect. But it's really fun to feel that adrenaline rush. One of the interesting facts about motocross is when you look at a motocross racer's heart rate, they are at 185 to 195 beats per minute, and a motocross race is 30 minutes long. So that's from the time the gate drops and they go to the time they cross the finish line. They're living in that realm of heart rate. You compare that to a road cyclist or a mountain biker, it's actually a higher heart rate for a longer period of time. One of the elements about motocross is certainly measuring the successes that you have. I talked about, we were just watching Ryan Villapoto. From the time he was young, his family sacrificed to get him to the races, traveled across the country trying to put himself in a situation where he could be as successful as possible. There's a picture of him in his youth, then there's a picture of him as a grown man holding up that championship cup. It's pretty interesting. Ryan Villapoto and thousands of other racers, from the time they're young, when they go out to enter a race, they start by getting some type of prize, really just for participating. The kids that are 5 and 6 and 7 years old, just as long as you come to the race, you get some type of prize. And I think that's in an effort to really encourage them to keep coming back and to keep trying and keep pushing themselves to go harder. Now, Ryan Villapoto has amassed a tremendous number of accolades. He's done quite a number of things. These numbers are pretty interesting when you break them down. He was 14 years old when he had his first pro win. So he'd been racing from the time he was really young. His first pro win was when he was 14 years old. 9 championships. And these championships are a little bit different than like the Super Bowl or the World Series. You think every single week you have at least 40 of the top racers in the world that come together, race, doing a sport where your bike can malfunction, where you could injure yourself in practice to the point that you couldn't walk again. It's a high risk but high reward sport. He's amassed 9 championships while he's been a part of it. 73 professional race wins. And I look at those professional race wins are kind of like the Super Bowl. You've got the 40 best racers that come. Every time they get on a bike, every single one of them has the potential to win, and they have the drive to win. Him being able to do that over the course of many seasons it's amazing. 26 is probably the craziest stat up there. He's 26 years old right now, and he's had this amount of success. I think it all stems from the momentum that you generate by reaching for success. This quote, and I'm sorry for quoting Tony Robbins, I never thought that I would ever do that, but he's right. People who succeed have momentum. The more they succeed, the more they want to succeed, and the more they find a way to succeed. Similarly, when someone is failing, the tendency is to get on a downward spiral that can even become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whew. Who's been on either side of that equation? Who's felt either side of that? I definitely have. I see hands starting to pop up there. It's so true, right? When you start measuring and you start setting goals, when you achieve those goals, you're like, hey, I can do that. I can actually stretch myself to do a little bit more. Conversely, hopefully this doesn't happen often, but surely it has. We can find ourselves in that downward spiral when it's like, man, I can't get out of the hole that I've just dug. What am I going to do? How can I improve on where I am now? But it's something that we have to reach for and strive to do. Here's a trophy room. This is actually Chad Reed's trophy room, another motocross racer, but I could have pulled up any of the racers on the pro tour. Look at all the trophies that line the top. Look at all the plaques that are on the wall. He could probably fill 5 rooms like this with the trophies that he's got. I don't think it's any mistake that they put these items up and that they remember the successes that they've had. When Ryan Villapoto or Chad Reed or any other racer get on a bike on a Saturday, I don't think they ever say to themselves, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and try and we'll see where we end up. Every one of them says, I can be a winner. I can do this. I can win this race. They've got the training. They've put that in all week long. They have a history of winning and achieving those goals. And I think every single one of them had that unique quality of saying, when I throw a leg over this bike, I'm going to go out with a purpose and a drive to be at the top of that podium. I want to take first place. It's interesting when you evaluate a motocross season. I think any motocross racer is going to set goals for what they want to do. Now, chances are there's some of them that just know they're not going to be in that top 5 or top 3 or top 1. But that doesn't mean they're not setting goals to get better, wanting to be a top 10. Or if you are a top 10, be a top 5. Top 5, get into the top 3 and get on the podium. They're always setting goals. We, in this room, have the opportunity to set our own goals. I couldn't come to any one of you and say, this is the goal that you need to set. You would have to do that yourself. You have to come up with where you are today and where you want to get to tomorrow. But it's absolutely in your hands to be able to set those goals. Also, the season that you set is determined by you. It could be a month, it could be a day, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks, it could be an afternoon when you said, I just need to do this. I need to accomplish this, and set out those goals to knock that out of the park. At New Dawn and Sustain, I get to work with the development teams there. We've chosen a 2-week season that we operate in. And it's interesting. At the beginning of the 2-week season, we come together and we set goals as to what we want to deliver, where we want to get to, what we want to have in our customers' hands by the end of that 2-week season. At the end of the season, we stop, we get back together, and we evaluate Were we able to deliver what we said we wanted to? Were we able to meet the goals that we set? A lot of times we say, yes, we did. And we look at the next season saying, how can we do better? How can we improve? What can we do to do more? And we try and evaluate ourselves that way. There's also times when you get to the end of the season and you're like, guys, we didn't get to where we thought we would. And there can be any number of reasons why that happens, but it certainly happens. Dale Carnegie gives us this quote when talking about those failures. Failures are important to any success. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. I wish I could say that if you go out and set goals, you'll achieve them, everything will be peachy, it's unicorns and rainbows all day long. I can't say that. I know that's not true. We absolutely will have failures. We'll have times, again, where we say, man, I'm in a bit of a hole right now. How do I get out of this? We don't want to get into that downward spiral that Tony Robbins spoke about. We want to take that opportunity to evaluate what went wrong and see if we can improve on that for the next season. That's the beautiful part of it. When you start setting those seasons, you give yourself a time frame to work in. All right, this season, we kind of failed. Next season, we're going to do better. We're going to improve on that. So you start setting those goals and you start to develop the momentum that you need to look like this. This is Ryan Villapoto on the podium winning his last championship. And I think this photo represents the whole metaphor that I think is the most important part of this. Maybe when we started, if I would have said, do you think motocross is a team sport? Everybody would have said, no. It's a guy on a motorcycle. He probably puts down the beer and cigarettes and jumps on it and goes out for a ride. That's not the case, right? He has a huge team around him. In fact, we talked about the heart rate and the fitness that goes into this. He has a professional trainer, dietitians, mechanics, team racers, his wife, his family. The network goes on and on and on of the people that are surrounding him, all striving for that same goal, to be successful, to be as successful as they can be as successful as he can be. When we look at our opportunity to set these goals, it's so important to look around us. Kyle talked about our battle buddies. Do we have a battle buddy? And are we investigating what they bring to the table? Are we open to that investigation for ourselves? Are we using that opportunity to do a retrospective and say, this is where we failed, or this is where we succeeded, how can we do better, and how can we build on that? It's so important to have that team around us. To finish up, this quote cemented in stone for me. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who is going to stop me. I invite you and challenge you as you go through this conference to use it as an opportunity, like Adam said, to network with the people here. You've got a chance to see how other people have done things. You've got a chance to say, well, we had an extra long season this year, and we really succeeded. This is what we did. This is how we could get better. Or we could say, we had some failures along the way. We want to learn from some of the ideas that people will bring to the conference. I invite all of us to use this as an opportunity, but also to go home after the conference and look at the team that you have around you. Consult with them on the season that you want to set. Determine what that season is, and then start by setting some goals, measuring if you achieve them or not, and then you're using those failures as stepping stones, or recognizing that success, celebrating that success together, and looking at how you can improve moving forward. Enjoy the conference. Thank you for coming.